From WBBM TV, this is Chicago's news. 2 News at noon.
Good afternoon, I'm Joan Lovett.
And I'm Lisa Kim. Janet Shamlian is off today. First on Chicago's news at noon, a police officer is shot. And even though there have been suspects named, no charges have been filed.
This case surrounds the shooting of Harvey police officer Gerald Lewis. He was injured while he was trying to make an arrest. Channel 2's Sylvia Gomez joins us now. You've got some new information, Sylvia?
Well, John, it was a very short news conference. Chief Ron Burge finally talking to us about the allegations that the arrest he made last week in connection with Officer Lewis's shooting was politically motivated. In an angry and often repetitious statement, Chief Burge reiterated his position that the Harvey Police Department made a clean arrest, that Eugene Neal wasn't arrested because he works for the Nick Graves for Mayor campaign, but because he committed the crime. And Burge blasted the Cook County State's Attorney's Office for cutting Neal loose without charging him with attempted murder.
Well, I don't know exactly why. There was some reason they gave me about the height being different, the weight being different. They had some problem with the photo lineup. But the facts are, this guy, I have an officer who's positively identified this as being the shooter. And there's a process that you go through.
Now, over and over again, Chief Burge said the Cook County State's Attorney should be staying out of their investigation, that the Attorney's Office should have allowed the Harvey Police Department to handle all the evidence and to handle the charges in this case, not cut him loose. They also said that they should be allowing the courts to handle this process the way it should be handled, allow the court system to interview witnesses and go through that process instead of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, as he put it, cutting them off at the knees. Now, another thing that Burge also refused to talk about today, though, was the allegations he made last week about 2 high-ranking police officers being implicated as conspirators in this crime. He said that investigation is still open, and he did not offer any hard evidence to that. Yeah?
All right, Sylvia, thanks. A key witness in the alleged plot to kill Minister Louis Farrakhan is testifying today. Michael Fitzpatrick says the government promised him $45,000 to be an informant on the daughter of the late Malcolm X. Fitzpatrick made the statement at a pretrial hearing today in St. Paul, Minnesota. Prosecutors say that Kabila Shabazz tried to hire Fitzpatrick to kill the Nation of Islam leader. Shabazz and some of her family have long suspected that Farrakhan was behind the assassination of Malcolm X, who was gunned down in front of his daughter when she was just 5 years old.
Joan, jury deliberations once again resumed this morning in the murder trial of Helmut Hofer. Hofer is charged with murdering Suzanne Olds in the garage of her home in Wilmette, that is. Yesterday, at the jury's request, the judge ordered transcripts made of the testimony of 31 witnesses. Studying those transcripts could prolong deliberations still further. Hofer's lawyers say they're encouraged by the apparent difficulty jurors are having in reaching a verdict.
The former Democratic candidate for governor finds herself the victim of credit card theft. 2 teenagers have been accused of trying to charge up to $1,500 worth of merchandise on cards that were stolen from Dawn Clark Netsch. True to form, Netsch is taking it all in stride, joking that the theft may show why she lost the governor's race. The teens apparently didn't recognize her name when they tried to use her charge cards. Steinmetz High School is considering legal action this afternoon to keep its medals and trophies that it won in the Illinois Academic Decathlon. Contest officials threatened to strip the students of their first ever academic title if they didn't take the test again. The reason, they say, unusually high test scores. Students say they did not cheat and they refused to retake the test, and that could mean a forfeit. No word yet from contest officials.
The wife of the country's most prominent Alzheimer's patient is speaking out, urging Americans with the disease to get help.
Hello, I'm Nancy Reagan. Alzheimer's disease can change your life. It changed mine.
Former First Lady Nancy Reagan is featured in a series of television and radio public service announcements. Former President Ronald Reagan is suffering from Alzheimer's. In the PSAs, Mrs. Reagan explains why there's a need to have more research done in the fight against the disease. The spots are being released by the Chicago-based Alzheimer's Association. A bizarre accident at a North Side business left some employees feeling a little nauseous this morning. Apparently, the exhaust fans above a photocopier and a number of computers were malfunctioning at the United Food and Commercial Workers Union building. The fumes gave a handful of employees a headache. One person had to be taken to a nearby hospital, but is in good condition.
Chicago's Roman Catholic Archbishop is breaking some new ground today during his pilgrimage to Israel. Joseph Cardinal Bernardine addressed Hebrew University and urged Catholics to ask forgiveness from God for their role in the Holocaust. He also accepted a fellowship from the university. Yesterday, Bernardine met with the Roman Catholic Archbishop of Jerusalem and then visited an Israeli immigrant absorption center. Channel 2's Jay Levine is traveling along with the Cardinal, and he'll have an update for us later on Chicago's News this afternoon. Well, you can think of it as Michael Jordan's Comeback, the sequel, but his second game wearing number 45 was a lot more impressive. Jordan turned in a real strong performance last night in Boston. He scored 27 points as the Bulls beat the Celtics 124-107. Jordan said he was pleased with his efforts in his second game.
I don't think it's going to be that long. You know, today I felt really good. You know, I think a couple more games, I may be able to play 45 minutes, really productive, not just, trying to hang on at the end, so I'm looking forward to that.
Of course, anticipation is mounting as Jordan debuts at home tomorrow night at the United Center. Shaq and the Orlando Magic are going to be in town.
A crowded house that
Yeah,
night.
right. Who's going to notice who we're playing,
Really?
right?
Still to come this noon, gays and lesbians in one particular state may have to register with police.
And his name is Cato. His sometimes fidgety testimony continues today. We'll have the latest when we return.
This is 2 News at Noon, Chicago's News.
It began when Channel 2's Tim Weigel was the first to report that Michael Jordan would make a comeback.
Michael Jordan back to basketball. That rumor hit the boiling point this morning.
10 days later, it happened, and 2 News was first to bring you the story that would make history.
He makes his debut in a Bulls uniform.
We're committed to bring you the stories that matter most to Chicago with the in-depth coverage of a 1-hour special.
The nearest you can get to Michael Jordan is to come here to his restaurant.
Don't miss what happens next. Stay tuned, only on 2 News, Chicago's News.
Catch all the excitement of NCAA basketball on the GMC Truck NCAA Weekend Preview, Thursdays on 2 News at 10.
Matt's chocolate chip cookies have a 1/4 pound of real chocolate in every 1-pound bag. Maybe that's why people hate to leave Matt's at home.
It begins with a familiar greeting, a hearty cry. It continues with a sweet melody and a sizzling that whets your appetite. And it's all at Petros Dianis, now in its new home. Traditional Greek cuisine, old world flavor with a new world taste. Everything you ever loved about Dianis for over 30 years with a few special surprises. Petros Dianis, 1633 North Halsted, next to the Royal George Theater. Fine Greek dining with a continental flair.
In Los Angeles, it is the third day of testimony for Cato Kalin at the double murder trial of O.J. Simpson. Kalin, a house guest at the Simpson estate, has been undergoing intense questioning about key times during the day Simpson's ex-wife and her friend were murdered. Kalin has not given Simpson a firm alibi. Meanwhile, the prosecution has asked that jurors be allowed to view autopsy photos to bolster the theory about a single assailant. Channel 2's John Duncanson is monitoring the trial. He's in the newsroom with more. John?
Lisa, Marsha Clark has gotten tough with Cato Kalin. Kalin is a witness for the prosecution, but he has been extremely slippery in his answers to Clark. That was evident throughout yesterday's testimony and has continued today. Today, Marsha Clark grilled Cato Kalin as to why O.J. Simpson insisted Cato move out of Nicole Brown Simpson's residence.
And what did you take that to mean, Mr. Kalin?
I moved out.
What did you take that to mean, Mr. Kalin?
That it could possibly have been that he was thinking that I might be with Nicole.
Sexually?
Possibly that he was thinking that, yes.
What else would you think as a result of that statement?
Well, because I never did. So I didn't think that.
Mr. Kalin, answer my question.
Okay.
What else would you have thought?
Well, that it could have been that.
Now, Kalin also admitted he didn't know where O.J. Simpson was from 9:45 to 10:50 the night of the murders. And just about 5 minutes ago, the defense began its cross-examination of Cato Kalin. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Our look around the world begins in Tokyo, where investigators are searching for the leader of a secretive religious cult.
These reports are the strongest sign so far that the cult is suspected in that nerve gas attack on a Tokyo subway. The sect's leader, Shoko Asahara, has dropped out of sight ever since the attack earlier this week. 10 people died and thousands of people became sick. Asahara has reportedly told his followers that the time has come to help him and that they must act without any fear of death. In another development that may tie the sect to the nerve gas attack, a car owned by the cult has been detained. It was reportedly full of chemicals used to make nerve gas. The driver led police on a chase, which ended with him crashing into a truck. After he was arrested, the car was wrapped in a protective covering and taken in for further examination.
The sole survivor in that post office shooting in Newark, New Jersey, is said to be improving. This as the suspect, a former part-time post office employee, has confessed to the robbery in which 4 people were killed. Authorities say Christopher Green made off with about $5,000. Green claims he had what he calls a mountain of debt. This is a key day on Capitol Hill. Debate on the controversial plan to revamp the nation's welfare system resumes in the House. Opponents of the Republican-backed measure argue it forgets about those who need it the most, who need most, poor single mothers and their children. And in the Senate, a bill which would give President Clinton more control on spending could come up for a vote. Senate Majority Leader Bob Dole says he expects the line-item veto to pass either late today or tomorrow. In Montana, legislation passed by state senators is causing an uproar this afternoon. The measure requires all convicted killers and rapists to register with police, but it also requires anyone convicted of a homosexual act to register. Having sex with someone of the same gender in Montana is a felony. The bill now goes to the Montana House.
We have a breaking story to report to you just into the Channel 2 newsroom. 3 children under the age of 5 have been injured in a fire on the south side. The children and their grandmother have all been taken to nearby hospitals. As for the fire, the 6300 block of South Laughlin, it is out. We'll have more on this story later today on Chicago's News. When we return, the sounds of spring should be with us this weekend.
Paul Douglas will explain in just a couple of minutes. Then at the end of the newscast, he calls it art, but when these models strike a pose, they also start a controversy.
My goal was to be the campaign manager that every candidate needed on their campaign. That was my goal. Would it taunt their image that they actually had a staff person that was in strategy meetings and in close quarters with them, living with AIDS? Fortunately for me, I get more hugs, I get more telephone calls, and you know, I think people are starting to smell the roses with me a little bit more.
The countdown has begun for the Maytag Factory Rebate Sale, with rebates that are out of this world. Get $30 back on a Maytag washer, a $30 rebate on a Maytag dishwasher, or on a Maytag gas or electric range. Plus, big savings on Maytag refrigerators. But hurry, because everything's moving at warp speed, except our repairman.
Don't miss the Maytag Factory Rebate Sale at Advanced Maytag, Franklin Park.
Hooked on Phonics is proud to share this exciting news. A recent study shows that in 1 year, 5 classes using Hooked on Phonics substantially improved their reading skills. These first graders showed nearly 2 years' growth in vocabulary and comprehension skills. These children increased these reading skills by nearly 2 grade levels. Maybe Hooked on Phonics can help your family. We stand by our 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Mr. Roto, as America's #1 Lincoln Mercury Subaru dealer, can you tell us how you became #1?
In 30 seconds? Impossible. Besides, my competition might be watching.
Is it because your customers enjoy a hassle-free experience at Roto?
We do our best to provide complete service satisfaction.
Is it because you have the largest selection?
And award-winning service, too.
You heard it here. The smartest car buyers shop at America's #1 Lincoln Mercury Subaru dealer. That's Roto on Rand Road in Arlington Heights.
Hey, I was supposed to say that.
In the Sierra, what's going on at this hour is being described as snowing sideways. By that, California state highway officials mean wind gusts are so powerful that the snow coming down is just blowing everywhere. These pictures were taken where travel is tricky but still permitted. In the high country, winds are reported at more than 80 miles an hour. That is windy.
Pretty, but no thanks.
Yeah, really.
Paul Douglas up on our weather deck, promising improvements.
Well, it's got to get a little bit better here.
Yeah.
Speaking of the snow, I mean, the skiing is great out in California if you can get to the ski resort. 90 inches of snow since Monday at the Donner Pass in the Lake Tahoe area. 90 inches, 60 of that in the past 24 hours. 60 inches of snow in 24 hours. Not a bad day in Chicago, except for the low lumpy clouds, the runny sky, the wind-whipped drizzle, and the raw wind. Except for that, it's great. And yes, the flowers are poking up in Lincolnwood. Video journalist Steve Lasker captured some pictures of what's happening in his front yard. Proof positive that spring is right around the corner. We know how big those corners can be here in Chicago. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It was a big step back this morning. Check out what's happening now temperature-wise around Chicago. Kind of chilly out there. 38 O'Hare, 40 Midway, 38 at the lake. The lake water temperature 42 and a stiff wind off that lake responsible for these raw conditions. 85% humidity, a northeast wind at 20, and the barometer now rising. Drier air working its way southward right down the North Shore. 45 should be our high today with any luck inland. 36 was the low this morning. Sunset 6:06. Storm watch, real-time watches and warnings for America, all quiet around Chicago. Here's where the action is. Winter storm watches and warnings, heavy snow warnings, snow advisories, another mess taking shape out west. Weather systems are in a holding pattern, what we call an omega block, a giant area of low pressure over New England, another big storm, which is more or less going to stall over the plain states, and it's going to keep us in a very unsettled, moist, southerly flow this weekend, and that'll mean another chance of showers, maybe some heavy thunderstorms Saturday afternoon right into Sunday. And again, weather systems just aren't going anywhere in a hurry. Check out what's happening around the nation right now. Yesterday, it hit 90 as close to us as Joplin, Missouri. 90 yesterday in Missouri. There's this little shrinking area of mostly rain. There was some sleet mixed in along the North Shore for a time this morning, even a little wet snow up towards Rockford and Madison. Temperatures just cold enough. Another major storm slamming into the west coast. Precipitation now sliding off to the south and east, and we do expect a drying breeze this afternoon. We can't rule out some drizzle, but look at this, some breaks in the clouds, and all this activity is working its way southward, and I think there could even be a few squirts and spurts of sunshine out there later on today. This is since 7:30 this morning. Northern Wisconsin, much of northern lower Michigan in the clear, and this dry air trying to work its way southward right there somewhere. Check out our 2 weather net. Lows this morning, mostly in the 30s, a raw breeze. Doesn't feel like spring today. Hopefully it will tomorrow. But again, near the lake, we're just not real optimistic about how fast it can warm up. As long as there's an east to northeast component off the lake, temperatures are going to be stuck in the low to mid 40s. One more peek at what's happening right now around the region. There will be some 50s and 60s downstate, and over the weekend, there could be severe thunderstorms with temperatures close to 80 towards Mount Vernon and even Springfield. And I wouldn't be shocked to see some heavy thunderstorms in Chicago this weekend as that Rocky Mountain storm lifts northeastward. 55 tomorrow, Calumet City, 53 Hinsdale, 51 Palatine, but 43 Hyde Park, Lincoln Park, and the uptown neighborhood with that raw wind off Lake Michigan. Okay, thanks for cheering us up, Paul. Let's check our forecast this afternoon. Gray skies, giving way to some peaks of sunshine after about 2 or 3 o'clock. It should brighten up a little bit, 45 for a high. Tonight, clearing out, chilly, 37 to the lakefront, 27 inland. Tomorrow, not a bad day, partly sunny, nicer than today, but still cool along the lakefront. Heavy jackets recommended, 53 inland. Maybe a shot at 60 over the weekend, but the warm air is just not going to be with us for at least the next 3, 4, 5 days, Joan and Lisa.
So keep those winter coats handy, huh?
Yeah, at least a sturdy jacket will do, Lisa.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Summer and road construction. Seems like it can't go anywhere in the summer months around here without seeing construction ahead signs. But this year, you might get a little break on Chicago's expressways. The Illinois Transportation Department apparently has just a few projects on the table. So this summer should, I stress should, be the most hassle-free time on the roads in the past 3 years, thankfully.
Any problems will just come to you, right?
Oh, sure.
Coming up, they're accused of putting the lives of dozens of children at risk.
But after our 2 News investigation, something is being done about this. We'll explain in just a couple of minutes.
I love playing with my granddaughter. Then I got this wound on my foot. Because of my diabetes, it wouldn't heal. And I wasn't the only one suffering. That's when I called the Wound Care Center.
The Wound Care Center uses the most advanced methods for treating non-healing wounds. But don't wait. Give us a call for more information.
We're glad to have the old Lee back again.
The Greater Illinois and Indiana Wound Care Centers, 1-800-747-2233.
Picture yourself here on the lake, enjoying your very own Lake Ridge property on this gently rolling, beautiful land just 90 minutes from Chicago. Come on, let me show you around. At Lake Ridge, you can own a beautiful lake access lot for as little as $19,900. Where your day will start with a morning cup of coffee and a magnificent sunrise. Then enjoy an endless array of activities from sandy beaches and the swimming pool to the tennis courts. And of course, there's the lake! Almost 300 acres of boating, fishing, water skiing, and hours of relaxation and recreation. Back on land, Lake Ridge is set in a beautifully planned community that's private and secure. High bills, paved roads, central water, and much more. This can all be yours. You can own a beautiful Lake Ridge lot for as little as $19,900 with easy financing. You better hurry. At these prices, the lots won't last.
For more information on Lake Ridge Homes, call 1-800-940-2717.
There's a fresh, new feeling.
The freshest values are waiting for you at Jewel. Get a sneak peek at summer's best with fresh strawberries, just 79 cents a pint. Enjoy grade A freshness with our whole frying chickens, only 49 cents a pound. Save on cooked smoked ham shank portion, just 79 cents a pound. And don't miss Jewel's buy one, get one free sale. Double up on favorites like these and more. For the freshest values.
There's a fresh, new feeling at Jewel.
Over a year ago, our undercover cameras caught an unlicensed doctor offering to perform a cosmetic surgery in the back of a Chicago beauty salon.
And that investigation has now resulted in convictions. Convictions of two people who put dozens of young lives at risk. Today, a News Extra follow-up to our investigation. The so-called doctor and his assistant preyed on young Asian women who wanted a more Western look. Now, because of a News Extra investigation, they're out of business. The scene of the crime was Carol's Hair Care. A man calling himself Dr. Young Lee would come to town every few months and knock out dozens of backroom operations, taking cash under the table. Our producer took an undercover camera with her for a consultation.
How much? This is for if you want to like that, you can pay some $900. For both eyes? Both eyes.
Lee promised young women he could give their eyes a more open look by cutting into their eyelids and creating a fold. It's an operation that takes hours when performed by reputable surgeons and requires weeks of follow-up care. But Lee would see his patients once during the operation in this back room, amid unsanitary conditions, where his surgical tools were sterilized in a Bunsen burner. He admitted to us that he was unlicensed.
How about in Illinois? Do you have one? You don't have one at all in the country? No, just in Korea.
We showed our tape to the state's attorney, who was alarmed enough to launch his own investigation and within hours arrest Lee. Nearly a year later, Lee pled guilty to a Class 4 felony.
He received 2 years probation, a $9,000 fine, and he will never practice medicine in the United States.
Lee's assistant, salon owner Carol Lee, booked his appointments for him, among other things. She told our producer that she could remove the stitches after the doctor left town. Earlier this week, Carol Lee finally reached a plea bargain which included probation and a fine. She had denied her guilt until prosecutors confronted her in court with our undercover tape.
Without Channel 2, the case probably would have never made it to court. Channel 2 initiated the investigation, and the evidence that was provided by Channel 2 in the form of videotape and audio tape was essential to securing convictions.
Carol's hair salon is still in business today, but apparently that's about to change. City officials tell us they plan to revoke her license.
Anytime that surgery is being done in a non-sanitary atmosphere, you run the risk of not only botched operations, but also diseases like AIDS and infections, that kind of thing. So the potential danger was limitless.
A potential danger that, in this case, exists no more. While local authorities keep a watchful eye on this salon and its soon-to-be former owner, Young Lee is under investigation in several other states for possible offenses. For News Extra, I'm Joan Lovett. Lee is suspected of performing illegal surgeries in at least 12 other states.
Authorities say he's left town and believe he's living in the Washington, D.C. area.
Andriana Fur's great moving sale is on now. Prices have never been this low. 50 to 70% off every magnificent fur. Choose from these gorgeous mink coats from just $17.95 or $59 a month. Andriana must move in days. Get the bargain of a lifetime at Andriana Furs, 612 North Michigan Avenue, or stop by our 2 new locations, 2201 West 95th Street and 335 North Michigan Avenue. No reasonable offer refused.
Feel the warmth and luxury that you deserve. Andriana Furs.
Nice Buick. Can you tell me why you bought it at Grossinger Buick?
Oh, what a great selection of cars. I've never seen so many different models.
It was the price.
The salespeople, they were courteous, laid back. They weren't pushy at all.
It was the price.
The service department, they have it all. Pickup and delivery. I've never been treated so nice in my life.
It was the price.
The price, sweetheart, you're right. Grossinger says the best price.
He's so smart.
Grossinger Buick. For more than 60 years, you just can't beat that Grossinger deal.
When I was a kid, Mom was always after me to eat right.
And that's what mothers do.
Now I'm looking out for her with Ensure. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between.
You know, dear, Ensure is even recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
Ensure. To your health, Mom.
Our health, dear.
The Channel 2 news staff is already working on stories for our news this afternoon. Here's a look at what's coming up. Starting at 4 o'clock, why do we get headaches after crying? The answer in today's Eye on Health. Then at 4:30, local art experts have rediscovered a sculpture important to Chicago history. We'll tell you how it was uncovered and its historical significance. And at 6, an effort to restore confidence in a far South Side community. Details in today's Side of Hope. All this and the latest on the O.J. Simpson trial beginning on Chicago's News at 4.
Some folks in Albuquerque, New Mexico have been getting an eyeful, and here's why. A photographer has recently been at work putting models in very public places. But the thing is, he prefers his models naked. The photographer uses pictures of nude people in public places for greeting cards, T-shirts, posters, and the models have to... I'm sorry, Paul, what? The models have to work very fast so that they don't get arrested, because while it is illegal to flaunt your stuff in the nude, the police have to catch you first. Probably the quickest modeling job around.
Now, Paul wouldn't flaunt his stuff in the nude.
Heavens, no, not up there on the weather deck.
Maybe in front of a weather map, but
got some
that's
ice.
your private business.
Got some eye strain. Okay, I'm not going to answer any of that. Here's the 5-day forecast. This afternoon, we're looking at low 40s, a raw wind. 53, partly sunny skies. You should be fully clothed once again tomorrow. 53, 57 on Saturday. Some of the showers and thunderstorms Saturday afternoon into Sunday could be heavy. And then a slight cool down early next week. Look at those lake temperatures, mostly in the 40s tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So again, drying out this afternoon, some peaks of sunshine, but a fairly wet weekend. Good indoor weekend shaping up. Joe and Lisa, sorry. We just report this stuff, you know.
That's right. You don't make it up.
You.
No, we don't.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you for joining us today at noon.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.